Hey guys, and welcome back for another video. Today I'd like to talk to you about the past couple of weeks from ANet delivering on some pretty interesting promotional material both for the next episode of the Living World as well as the future of the game itself. The first big piece of footage that we got was the teaser trailer for episode 6. Most of that trailer footage did center around Kraukatorrik, cementing that we will be dealing with him again immediately after the events of the previous Living World episode. I do believe this is the first time that we've seen his full character model in flight, and since it's unlikely ANet would go through the trouble of rigging this character model simply for the promotional footage, it seems pretty likely that we're going to get some of this kind of gameplay in the next episode of the Living World. Who can say if we're actually going to get some sort of aerial battle with the dragon, or if we'll just be following closely behind on a packed airship, but either way, this is some of the largest scale content we've seen in the Living World, barring the previous episode. Most people know that the area surrounding Kraukatorrik as he flies tends to create a brand storm, but in general, the skies seem to have this weird haze to them, and it's hard to say if that's just Kraukatorrik's influence, or if we might actually be returning to the mists. If you haven't played the entirety of the Living World so far, we did go there once already, and it's entirely possible that we could return for the finale. While a lot of this trailer does focus on Kraukatorrik flying, we do get a couple of shots right towards the end of the teaser, and in the sky in these final shots you can see some packed airships, which is why I'm not entirely sold on a complete Kraukatorrik sky battle unless it is on those ships, but you can also see, in addition to those ships, a smaller mount-looking creature with what appears to be a character on its back. The obvious conclusion being that there would be a new mount with this next episode, and since that time we've actually gotten confirmation that that is indeed the case. So this new mount called the Skyscale is a dragon, and this makes 8 mounts total in Guild Wars 2. Just like the previous Griffin mount, the Skyscale is going to be an aerial-based mount, but unlike the Griffin, which primarily focuses on speed, the Skyscale is said to focus more on verticality. The analogy we were given is that the Griffin is very much like a jet engine, and the Skyscale will be more like a helicopter. Most people know the Griffin mount as being a very fast flying mount that can cover a lot of ground, but the issue with the Griffin is that a lot of times you already have to get to a high place in order to really use it to its max potential. The Skyscale, on the other hand, will be able to start gaining altitude right away. In addition to some flying, the Skyscale also can scale cliffs, and with this information, many have already pointed out, what cliffs exactly? Will there be designated cliffs for the Skyscale moving forward, or is this basically any rocky structure in Guild Wars 2? My original concern around the Skyscale when I first heard about it was that it might replace the Griffin, but after seeing this climbing ability, it might actually pose more of a threat to the Springer. If this new mount can climb up any rocky structure in the whole of the game, there's really no reason to get on your Springer and jump up to high places. Now, even just looking at the description, it's pretty obvious that the Griffin and the Skyscale will be fairly different. I just always felt like the ability to fly in Guild Wars 2 was kind of a prestigious reward in the game. But if the end result is more players being able to enjoy what it's like to fly on a mount in Guild Wars 2, I guess it's really not so bad in the end. I mean, you still won't be able to fly as fast as me, so The final ability for the Skyscale is its disengage, and while most mounts kind of vanish in the midst of their disengage ability, it appears that this time the Skyscale will kind of drop you off on the ground and then shoot fire down wherever you land. Because dragon. The video that accompanied the announcement of the Skyscale kind of just shows off each of the Skyscale's abilities as we typically get with each release of a new mount, but since we haven't actually seen the full trailer for The Living World Season 4 Episode 6, it's pretty likely that that's the same exact map that we saw in that earlier Kraukatorg trailer. You can even see the packed airships as well as much more of the map than we were given in that initial trailer. Not only can we see the ground, we can actually see some structures in the immediate area, and if you look at each one of these shots frame by frame, it's starting to look more and more like we won't actually be going to the mists, and instead we'll be headed towards a new real-life location in Tyria. I say this because in the opening of the Skyscale trailer, it looks like you can see an encampment. Also, we do have those packed airships once again, and while I can see the forces of Tyria uniting to take down an Elder Dragon that poses a real threat to Tyria, I don't really see them going through a giant portal to the mists of all places. I'm just trying to think of the logistics of getting those airships to the mists in the first place. But at the same time, there are also shots of what appear to be spirit versions of bears, so who knows? There was a bit of community information surrounding that shaman revealing a slight map change in the domain of Vabi, and there is technically a Guild Wars 1 location just north of the domain of Vabi that we have yet to explore. Taking into account the shots of water we can see in the Skyscale trailer, and looking at the northbound river in the domain of Vabi, it may not be all that unlikely that we'll be headed there next. Lastly, for this video, I do want to talk about the roadmap we were given by ArenaNet, or at least the best version of a roadmap we could possibly ask for from ArenaNet. But this article does kind of detail what we can look forward to, at least in terms of features, in the next coming months and years of Guild Wars 2's lifespan. I don't want to pick this article apart here in today's video as we're talking about multiple topics, but I will be coming back to this article in an upcoming video I've been working on a little bit in the background. Today, I'd just like to focus on some of the features that they announced, and while these are announcements, they are sort of with an asterisk that says, hey, we might not actually put these in the game, so just keep that in mind when we're going through the list. First, they give us a few things that might come in the next few months, one of which being the Super Adventure Box Festival that is currently happening and is almost wrapped up. Next, they mention some current activities, or current events as they're typically called, and as of recording this, they're actually already in the game. There are now some rifts that will open up in core Tyria maps on a rotating schedule, and by entering these rifts, you can take out a rift stalker for some unique drops that you can use to make weapons, and yes, of course, I'll be making a guide on this before too long. While we're on the topic though, these rifts do take you to a location that looks very similar to both of the teaser trailers we've been given so far, and when you load into these maps, they're called mist rifts. So are we headed to the mists, or are we headed to a new location? You guys let me know in the comments. On to the actual features, and the most likely ones we'll see, as these could be coming in the next few months. We have legendary sigils and legendary runes. Now, it's hard to say exactly what this will mean. I don't think that these will be more powerful versions of runes and sigils, but it's pretty likely that we'll be getting stat selectable runes and sigils at the very least, as that's kind of a staple for legendary gear. We also more or less had build templates confirmed to be a real in-game feature, and I am very excited about this finally being added to the game. I'm not entirely sure just yet if it'll be added to the gem store as well, and honestly, I wouldn't be all that angry if they did so. I'd just like 1 or 2 slots to swap between for myself, and I'd be happy to buy more slots if that's how this is implemented. Regardless, build templates are confirmed in the future. Currently, the cooking crafting discipline can only be leveled to 400, and I guess they've set their sights on raising that to 500. The goal is to make lower tier foods more important, and they say that they'd like to reinvigorate lower tier items in the game. I'm guessing that this isn't as simple as adding a couple new crafting recipes to cooking and increasing that level all the way up to 500, so I'm hoping for a little bit of a rework to cooking in addition to those extra 100 levels. The final 2 notes for the immediate future, or at least the next couple of months, involve World vs. World and PvP. It looks like we're getting yet another confirmation that they are still working on world restructuring for World vs. World, and while we wait on that huge update to the game mode, we will see some more temporary changes like the no downstate week that they did previously. Also, they are talking about different types of reward structures for events. Similarly, we did see yet another reconfirmation that Swiss tournaments are coming to PvP. Now, those are the only features I'm going to talk about here. There are some extra things that they put right towards the bottom, and if you're really curious about PvP, world versus world, or crafting, you can look at those. I'm avoiding them here because they're further out in development, and because they even say themselves that they're more subject to change or being shelved altogether. Of course, everything that I've shown and have talked about in this video will be linked down in the description so you can form your own opinions of what all of this means. The last thing I'd like to talk about before wrapping up this video is the final paragraph of the Future of Guild Wars 2 or What's Next for Guild Wars 2 article. They say, this sort of discussion of projects that we've kept under wraps until now is a departure from how we've been communicating for a while. It's our hope that through posts like these we can help clarify for you what our priorities and goals are for the game. Personally, I love that ArenaNet is finally communicating and revealing their hand, so to speak, for the first time in a long time. Part of the magic of the Guild Wars 2 experience is that a lot of what comes into the game kind of hits you like a bombshell and you have no idea what's going on. But if you've been playing the game for a while and you haven't seen updates to a game mode that you really enjoy or content types that you care about, the silence that ArenaNet often leaves you with is enough to make you lose your mind. You don't want to play this game if they're not going to update things that you care about, but you do want to continue to play the game just in case they update the things you care about. But anyway, guys, that's pretty much all I wanted to cover here today. I just wanted to make sure people outside of the loop maybe knew what was going on or what might be coming out eventually for Guild Wars 2. Based on the trailer footage we have available, let me know what you guys are thinking about the next episode of The Living World. Do you think we'll be fighting Kralkatorrik in the sky, or do you think that's just a cool perspective shot they used for promotion? Are we headed to the Mists, or are we just headed to another location, perhaps just north of the Domain of Abbey? Also, as far as future updates and things they're working on, did you see everything that you wanted to, or are you a little let down with this post? But as always, guys, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.